Atlanta had already been rocked to its core by the loyalty war, but nobody expected the next move to come wrapped in official court papers. Just when the dust was still settling from the screenshots and blurred voice notes, Rasheeda decided she wasn't going to let her name get dragged in the streets without a fight. Quietly, behind the scenes, lawyers were hired, documents were drafted, and suddenly the word lawsuit was being whispered in every corner of Atlanta. By the time the news hit the blogs that Rasheeda was filing a defamation suit against Yandy, the entire city went into shock. It wasn't a caption, it wasn't a blurry screenshot, it wasn't a subliminal. It was the courtroom now, and that meant the game had changed. The blogs had a field day. Rasheeda versus Yandy moves from Instagram to courtroom, screamed one headline. Another declared, "Can you sue over screenshots? Atlanta says let's find out." On podcasts, messy panelists argued late into the night, their voices climbing over each other as they debated whether receipts counted as defamation or just exposure. And on Twitter, the fans dragged it into meme territory immediately. One viral post showed Rasheeda's boutique logo edited onto legal papers with the caption, "Pressed Boutique vs. Receipts, LLC." The jokes were endless, but behind the humor was the sense that this feud had officially gone nuclear. Yandy, true to form, didn't take the bait. She didn't drop a rant or a live session to counter it. Instead, she posted a calm photo carousel of her family smiling at a Sunday dinner, her caption reading, "Truth is a defense. Receipts don't lie." That one line was enough to send the internet into another spiral. Fans flooded the comments. "Sis playing chess, not checkers." Another wrote, "If you know your screenshots are real, why would you even be worried about a lawsuit?" Yandy's calmness worked like a weapon. She was painted once again as the strategist, the unbothered queen who didn't even need to fight back because she already knew she'd win. Meanwhile, Rasheeda was scrambling. Her legal team put together filings claiming she had suffered emotional distress and financial harm due to the viral posts, but the streets weren't sympathetic. They remembered every shady silence, every cryptic live, every time. She had refused to clear the air when Yandy dropped those first breadcrumbs. Now that she was running to the courthouse, it didn't look like strength. It looked like desperation. And in Atlanta, desperation is blood in the water. The sharks were circling, then came the first leak. A gossip blog posted what they claimed was a copy of the initial court filing, stamped and signed. Whether it was authentic or not, it spread like wildfire. Screenshots of the filing circulated across fan pages. Rasheeda v. Yandy Smith Harris. Complaint for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The streets didn't even care if it was real. The perception was enough. Tasha K even popped up in the background, not as the star this time, but as the commentator. In a quick live stream, she waved a flash drive in the air and laughed. "Y'all think this just Instagram beef? Baby, I got exhibits. Exclusive court files. The streets gonna eat this alive." Even though she didn't reveal anything, the idea that outside media had their hands on documents made the storyline even messier. Kirk, of course, couldn't keep quiet. He posted a gym selfie, flexing with the caption, "Energy don't lie. Don't believe everything you read." That one sentence was enough to ignite an inferno. Fans stormed his comments. "Sir, not you talking about energy when you cheated on your wife on national TV." Another wrote, "You broke loyalty before screenshots even existed. Sit this one out." His attempt at defense backfired spectacularly, dragging his old scandals back into the spotlight and making Rasheeda look even weaker. Every time he spoke, he reminded the world that his credibility had been destroyed years ago, and the fans weren't letting him rewrite history. By the weekend, the entire city was living inside the lawsuit storyline. Anonymous pages claimed to have insider info, others swore they saw Rasheeda leaving her lawyer's office in Buckhead, looking tense and tired. Memes popped up of courtroom sketches with Rasheeda sitting alone while Yandy smiled calmly across from her, even though the case hadn't even gone to trial yet. The narrative was writing itself. One woman fighting to clear her name with paperwork, the other woman letting the streets and the truth do all the dragging for her. But inside, Rasheeda was unraveling. For years, she had built an image of being composed, business-minded, family-oriented, but now that image was being shredded one meme at a time. She posted a photo of herself with her kids, captioned, "I stand on family, I stand on truth," I don't stand on drama. Instead of sympathy, the comments ripped her apart. Sis, then why your name all over those group chats? Another said, don't hide behind family pics when the receipts are public. What she thought would be a soft defense turned into more evidence in the eyes of the fans. Silence in Atlanta doesn't protect you, it convicts you, and now even speaking was digging her deeper. Meanwhile, Yandy stayed calm, continuing to post subtle captions and polished photos, letting her fan base and the blogs do the dirty work. One of her posts read simply, "Loyalty is free, but some people can't afford it." Within hours, it trended, turned into memes, reposted across fan accounts as a motivational quote. Even people outside the love and hip-hop universe shared it on Instagram stories, stripping away the context and making it a life lesson. While Rasheeda was painted as the desperate one hiding behind lawyers, Yandy was rebranded as the composed strategist, turning drama into branding. The episode of Atlanta's courtroom drama had only just begun, but the stage was already set. The C. Fans weren't just watching, they were participating, dissecting every filing, every caption, every leaked page. What was supposed to be a quiet legal move had become a public circus. The lawsuit wasn't protecting Rasheeda's image, it was destroying it faster than the screenshots ever could. And behind it all, whispers grew louder. If this was just the beginning, what was going to happen when the evidence was actually laid out in court? The courthouse in downtown Atlanta had never seen so many cameras lined up for what was supposed to be just a civil filing. News vans parked bumper to bumper, bloggers with ring lights balanced on the sidewalk. Fans showed up like it was a reunion taping. What should have been a quiet hearing suddenly looked like a red carpet event. The first official appearance of Rasheeda and Yandy in front of a judge had turned into a public spectacle, and every second was being live-streamed. The moment Rasheeda stepped out of the black SUV, dressed in a sleek black blazer with oversized sunglasses shielding her eyes, the cameras went into overdrive. Commentators whispered, "She looks like she's going to war." But the fans online were less forgiving. One post went viral within minutes. Sis dressed for court like it's Fashion Nova X boutique promo. Yandy, on the other hand, arrived with quiet confidence. No entourage, no flashy outfit. A simple cream blouse, jeans, hair pinned neatly, back, and a soft smile that said she wasn't rattled. The contrast was brutal. While Rasheeda looked armored, guarded, and tense, Yandy looked calm, relatable, and unbothered. The optics alone shifted the narrative. Fans tweeted, "Yandy walking," in like she already won. Another wrote, "Rasheeda suing somebody for screenshots she sent herself is the wildest thing I've ever seen." Even before the hearing began, perception had already tilted. Inside the courthouse, the tension was thick. The benches were filled, not just with press, but with bloggers live tweeting every detail. Security had to hush fans whispering, "That's her, that's Yandy," as though this were a celebrity trial. The judge, unimpressed with the circus, reminded everyone that this was not a TV set, but the outside world didn't care. For Atlanta, this was bigger than a reunion. This was history. The lawyers began their opening statements, and immediately the battle lines were clear. Rasheeda's attorney argued that the viral screenshots were manipulated, taken out of context, and weaponized to damage her reputation, her brand, and her family life. They spoke of severe emotional distress and claimed Rasheeda's boutique had suffered financial loss due to fan boycotts and negative press. They painted her as a victim of online bullying amplified by Yandy's influence. On paper, it might have sounded compelling, but to the fans watching online, it sounded hollow. They remembered the receipts, they remembered the captions, and most importantly, they remembered the silence. Rasheeda's refusal to clear the air when the story first broke. When Yandy's lawyer spoke, the courtroom shifted. Calm, deliberate, the statement cut through the air. "Truth is not defamation. Receipts don't lie. Our client merely responded to public speculation with clarity and dignity. Any reputational harm suffered by Ms. Frost is the result of her own words and her own actions." The words landed like a hammer. Fans outside began chanting, "Receipts don't lie, receipts don't lie." The phrase echoed through social media, turning into hashtags within minutes. As the lawyers traded arguments, an anonymous page dropped what it claimed were new documents from the case. A screenshot of an exhibit list circulated online, showing Group Chat Number 1, Group Chat Number 2, and Voice Note audio as pieces of evidence. Whether authentic or not, the leak set the internet ablaze. Fans immediately speculated that Yandy's team had even more proof ready to bury Rasheeda. Memes popped up of Exhibit A with clown emojis, stamped across it. A fan wrote, "Sis suing somebody with receipts only to hand the court more receipts." Another replied, "This lawsuit is just a reunion special in court form." Kirk tried once again to intervene. Outside the courthouse, he stopped for cameras and said, "My wife is innocent. This whole thing is blown out of proportion. People making money off drama." But the reporters pushed back, asking about his own history, the baby scandal, the years of cheating. His face tightened and he stormed off, but the damage was done. The clip went viral with fans dragging him as the man who turned infidelity into a storyline. Every attempt he made to defend Rasheeda reminded people why they didn't trust him. Instead of shielding her, he was burying her further under the weight of her own marriage. Back online, fans dissected every angle. Some sided with Rasheeda, insisting the screenshots could be faked, that editing apps could twist anything. But the louder chorus was with Yandy. If she lying, why she calm? If she guilty, why she suing? One post said. Another meme showed Rasheeda crying at a reunion next to a court logo, captioned, "Sis crying in HD and 4K. The ridicule was merciless, and every minute the trial dragged on, the public opinion tilted harder against her. Spice tried to jump in on Instagram Live, claiming she wanted peace and that the fans are making too much out of nothing. But her comments were instantly flooded with bone emojis, dragging her once again as the bone carrier. One fan typed, "Spice, you knew the whole time. Stop acting." Another added, "Messy queen pretending neutral. We see you." Even as she blinked and smiled into the camera. The streets weren't buying it. Her attempts to distance herself only tied her closer to the feud. Meanwhile, Yandy played the role of strategist flawlessly. She didn't lash out, she didn't mock, she didn't go live to scream. Instead, she posted another carousel, her, children doing homework, her husband cooking dinner, her team at a business meeting. Her caption, "Courtrooms can't hide the truth. Silence doesn't erase receipts." Calm, subtle, but every fan knew exactly who she was aiming at. The comments turned into a flood of fire emojis, loyalty hashtags, and memes. Even verified accounts joined in, praising her composure. But the twist came late that evening when yet another anonymous account leaked a partial transcript of the alleged voice note evidence. The text was short, but it was damning. "I'm tired of pretending for cameras," one line read. It was credited to Rasheeda's voice. Fans exploded. "What you pretending for, sis? So you've been faking loyalty for storylines?" Suddenly, this wasn't just about betrayal. It was about deception, about fakery, about exposing the entire reality show machine. Whether the transcript was real or doctored didn't matter. Perception in Atlanta never waits for facts. By midnight, the hashtag pretending for cameras was trending nationwide. Memes showed old clips of Rasheeda smiling awkwardly next to Yandy with captions like, "Sis been tired since season 1. Blogs reposted reunion clips, pointing out moments that now looked staged, edited, fake. The fans weren't just questioning her loyalty anymore. They were questioning her authenticity, her brand, her entire existence on the show. Rasheeda, desperate to shift the narrative, posted a long captioned photo about choosing peace, choosing family, and choosing faith. But the comments section was brutal. "Peace after you got caught?" one wrote. Another replied, "Don't post your kids when you messy. We talking about loyalty, not family pics." Every defense she attempted turned into more evidence against her. Her motherhood, once her safe shield, was now being dragged into the fire. Second courtroom date loomed, and Atlanta buzzed with anticipation. The first hearing had already given the fans a show, but everyone knew the real battle hadn't even started. Bloggers teased they had exclusive footage. Podcasts promised emergency live streams. Even major outlets began circling, sniffing, for the crossover story between reality TV and legal warfare. This wasn't just drama anymore. It was a cultural moment. a citywide obsession. And through it all, Yandy never raised her voice. She didn't scream, she didn't threaten, she simply let the court filings, the leaks, and the fans do the dragging for her. One of her captions summed it up perfectly. Loyalty is priceless. Once it's gone forever. The line trended across Instagram and Twitter, quoted by people who had no idea about the lawsuit, no idea about the screenshots, but understood the message. Yandy had managed to turn a courtroom battle into a branding masterclass. The stage was set for the next eruption. The city leaned in. Bloggers sharpened their knives. Fans refreshed their feeds, desperate for the next leak. Because everyone knew. The courtroom hadn't even seen the real evidence yet. The blurred screenshots were crumbs. The leaked transcript was bait. The final exhibits, if they ever saw the light of day, wouldn't just burn Rasheeda's credibility. They would torch every alliance, every storyline, every bond tied to her name. And Atlanta was hungry for the fire. The city of Atlanta woke, up buzzing. The second court date wasn't just another hearing, it was an event. Bloggers had countdown timers, fan pages posted court look predictions, and podcasts were running emergency live streams with thumbnails that screamed, "Final receipts drop today." Even local radio stations couldn't avoid it. The DJ opened the morning show with, "Forget sports, forget politics. Today is all about Rasheeda versus Yandy in court." Atlanta had turned a civil defamation case into the Super Bowl of messy reality TV. Outside the courthouse, the scene was chaos. Fans lined the sidewalks with posters reading, "Receipts don't lie," and "Free loyalty." Others came dressed in parody pressed boutique t-shirts, mocking Rasheeda's brand. When she arrived, again in full glam, hair laid, blazer sharp, makeup flawless, the chants grew louder. Some fans clapped, others booed, but the overwhelming noise was clown emojis shouted in unison. Rasheeda tried to keep her head high, but her eyes betrayed the weight pressing down on her. This wasn't just a trial anymore. It was her image. Her legacy, her brand, her entire career on the line. Yandy arrived moments later, her calm composure unshaken. She wore a simple pastel suit, no entourage, no theatrics, just a quiet wave to the cameras. That alone made the contrast brutal. The streets compared the two instantly. One fan tweeted, "Rasheeda walked in like a defendant. Yandy walked in like the judge." The optics cut deep, and perception kept tilting further against Rasheeda before a word was spoken inside. The courtroom was packed, every seat taken, every eye locked on the two women sitting just a few feet apart. The air was thick with tension, the kind of tension that makes people whisper even when nothing is happening. The judge entered, reminding the room that this was a legal proceeding, not a TV show. But the streets had already decided. This was bigger than television. This was Atlanta history unfolding. The lawyers sparred again. Rasheeda's team argued that the viral screenshots had been taken out of context, weaponized against her, and had destroyed her reputation. They claimed her business had suffered boycotts, sponsorships had pulled out, and her family had endured harassment. It was a plea for sympathy, a last-ditch effort to make her look like the victim. But when Yandy's attorney stood, the energy shifted. Calm, clear, deliberate, they said. Truth cannot be defamation. What has been presented to the public are not fabrications, but communications directly from the plaintiff. Receipts don't lie. Silence, however, convicts. The words landed like thunder. The fans in the gallery stirred. Outside, phones lit, up as the quote spread instantly across social media. Hashtags began trending again. Receipts don't lie, silence convicts. The streets erupted, and once again, perception was more powerful than any legal technicality. Then came the exhibits. For weeks, people had speculated what evidence Yandy's team really had. The blurred screenshots had already caused chaos, but the unblurred versions were entered into the record now. Crystal clear, undeniable, with timestamps attached. The courtroom projector displayed them line by line. Jasmine. "Sis, people pressed about us. Let them choke." Rasheeda. "Girl, Yandy always playing victim. That's why I stopped rocking with her. It's all for cameras." Jasmine. "Exactly. She fake loyal. I don't know how people don't see it." The room gasped. Bloggers typed furiously. Fans in the back whispered, clutching their phones, already sending screenshots to their group chats. The silence after the evidence was displayed was louder than any outburst. It was betrayal in black and white, undeniable, devastating. Rasheeda's lawyer tried to object, claiming the evidence was out of context, but the judge allowed it to stand for review. Outside, perception had already turned into conviction. Fans screamed online, "Sis buried herself in her own lawsuit." Another wrote, "Imagine suing someone only to prove them right in front of a judge." The memes were merciless. Courtroom. Sketches edited with clown wigs, Rasheeda's boutique logo replaced with the word receipts. But it didn't stop there. The next exhibit was an audio clip. The same muffled voice note that had first leaked online was now played in court. This time clearer, authenticated. The courtroom speakers crackled, and then the voices filled the room. Jasmine's voice. "Sis, just keep it low, they going to believe what they want anyway." Rasheeda's voice. "Yeah, you right. I'm tired of pretending for cameras." The words hung in the air like smoke. You could feel the oxygen leave the room. The fans outside erupted when the news hit Twitter. Pretending for cameras shot back to the top of the trending list. Bloggers screamed into their live stream mics. The streets didn't wait for the judge's ruling. The verdict was already delivered. By public opinion. Kirk, who had been sitting behind Rasheeda, put his head in his hands. Cameras caught it, and that one image went viral instantly. Not Kirk realizing he should have stayed at the gym. Outside the courthouse, fans chanted, "You can't sue receipts, you can't sue receipts." The trial had become less about defamation and more about humiliation. Spice, once again dragged into the mess, found her name thrown on the screen when a second group chat surfaced. A message allegedly from Rasheeda read, "Spice messy always. Pretending neutral." The courtroom audience gasped, and within minutes, Shocker Spice Exposed was trending. The bone carrier narrative had come full circle. The fans didn't care if it was real, fake, or doctored. Perception had spoken. Spice was dragged into the loyalty war fully, and now her own neutrality was painted as fakery. The pressure crushed Rasheeda. She broke down in tears at the table, dabbing her eyes with a tissue as cameras flashed. To her, it was a moment of vulnerability, but to the streets, it was confirmation. Memes of her crying face were plastered across Twitter within minutes. Sis crying in HD and 4K. What should have been a private moment of pain became another public weapon against her. Yandy, in contrast, never raised her voice. She didn't smirk, she didn't gloat. She just sat calmly, eyes forward, hands folded neatly in front of her. When asked if she had anything to add, she simply said, "Sometimes people you break bread with will turn around and break your back. But the truth always shows itself." The line went viral instantly, clipped, reposted, turned into motivational quotes. What was supposed to be a messy trial had turned into Yandy's brand masterclass. As the day ended, the judge announced that the evidence would be formally reviewed and a ruling would come soon. That one statement set up the perfect cliffhanger. The entire city knew what had been displayed already, but the official verdict was still pending. Outside, reporters screamed questions, bloggers waved microphones, and fans kept chanting receipts. Don't lie. Rasheeda rushed past the cameras, sunglasses back on, but the damage was visible. Yandy walked out calmly, waved once, and left with the same quiet composure she had carried since the beginning. The blogs wrote the headlines before the ink was even dry. Rasheeda buried by her own receipts. Yandy wins the court of public opinion. And the verdict awaits, but the streets already decided. Atlanta leaned in, waiting for the judge's official word. But deep down, everyone knew. In this war, the paperwork didn't matter. The captions, the screenshots, the audio, they had already sealed the fate. And when the gavel finally dropped, it wouldn't just be a ruling on defamation. It would be the closing note on loyalty, betrayal, and the most unforgettable courtroom saga the city had ever seen.